Every experience has convinced you that reality exists out there and that you exist somewhere inside it. The stars appear distant, events seem separate, people look disconnected from one another. Yet beneath these appearances lies a possibility so profound that it changes the meaning of identity itself. Quantum physics revealed that what appears solid and separate may emerge from deeper fields of relationship and connection. But what if this mystery extends beyond matter? What if the awareness reading these words is not moving through reality at all? What if the observer, the world, and the field have never truly been separate? The boundary you have trusted your entire life may be a construction of perception. Today we explore a startling quantum secret. You were never inside the field of existence. You were always in the field, the invisible framework that existed before every experience. Before you had a name, experiences were already happening. Before you formed opinions about the world, sights, sounds, sensations, and impressions were already appearing. Before you learned to describe reality, reality was already being encountered. This raises a fascinating question. What made those experiences possible? Most people focus on the contents of experience. They focus on the objects they see, the thoughts they think, the emotions they feel, and the events they remember. Yet very few stop to examine the invisible framework that allows any experience to appear in the first place. Imagine watching a movie. The characters capture your attention. The story captures your attention. The action captures your attention. Yet none of it could appear without the screen. The screen remains unnoticed because attention is absorbed by what appears upon it. Reality often functions in a similar way. People become fascinated by experiences while overlooking the field within which all experiences arise. Quantum physics revealed that what appears solid and independent often emerges from deeper structures that remain hidden from ordinary observation. Particles appear and disappear. Relationships exist beneath visible forms. The surface reality we experience may be supported by processes that are not immediately obvious. The same principle can be applied to consciousness. Every thought appears somewhere. Every emotion appears somewhere. Every sensation appears somewhere. There must be a context that allows these experiences to emerge. That context is rarely noticed because it is always present. Imagine a fish spending its entire life in water. The fish notices other fish. It notices movement, it notices objects, yet it may never notice the water itself because the water surrounds every experience it has ever known. Human awareness contains a similar mystery. The field of experience is so constant that it becomes invisible. People notice changing thoughts but not the space in which thoughts appear. They notice changing emotions but not the presence receiving those emotions. They notice changing perceptions but not the underlying continuity making perception possible. This invisible framework existed before every memory you possess. It existed before every success, before every failure, before every identity you have ever adopted. Throughout your life, countless experiences have come and gone. Childhood disappeared. Certain beliefs disappeared. Relationships changed. Dreams changed. Goals changed. Even your understanding of yourself changed repeatedly. Yet something remained present through all of it. Something witnessed every chapter without becoming limited to any chapter. The field was there before the experience arrived. The field remained after the experience departed. This is why the field is so difficult to recognize. It does not compete for attention. It does not announce itself. It does not demand recognition. It quietly allows everything else to appear. The mind tends to focus on movement. The field remains still. The mind focuses on objects. The field contains objects. The mind focuses on change. The field remains present through change. As long as attention remains fixed on appearances, the framework remains hidden. Yet the moment awareness begins turning toward the source of experience rather than its contents, something remarkable becomes visible. The field was never created by experience. Experience emerged within the field. The field was never produced by thought. Thought appeared within the field. The field was never produced by identity. Identity appeared within the field. And this realization begins changing the entire relationship between yourself and reality. Because what you have called your life may not simply be a collection of experiences moving through time. It may be the expression of a deeper field that was present before every experience began and remains present long after each experience fades away. That invisible framework has never left. It has been here through every moment of your existence, quiet, unnoticed, yet fundamental to everything you have ever known. Why reality appears fragmented when the field is forgotten. Thought is forgotten. Look around for a moment, and reality seems divided into countless separate pieces. There is you and there is the world. There is the observer and there is what is being observed. There are different people, different objects, different events, and different moments moving through time. Everything appears distinct. Everything appears disconnected. The appearance is so convincing that most people never question it. They assume separation is the fundamental nature of reality. Yet a deeper examination reveals something curious. Every experience of separation appears within the same field of awareness. The object and the observer are known within the same experience. The sound and the listener are known within the same experience. The thought and the thinker are known within the same experience. The division seems obvious until attention begins looking beneath appearances. Imagine looking at a wave on the ocean. The wave appears separate from other waves. It has a unique shape, a unique movement, and a unique location. If attention remains focused on the surface, separation seems undeniable. Yet from a deeper perspective, every wave is an expression of the same body of water. The differences are real at one level, the unity is real at another. Reality often appears fragmented because attention becomes fascinated by forms while forgetting the field from which those forms emerge. Quantum physics revealed that what appears separate can be connected in ways that challenge ordinary perception. Beneath visible distinctions, deeper relationships exist. What looks isolated on the surface may be part of a larger system operating as a whole. The same principle can be applied to consciousness. The mind naturally organizes experience into categories. This is me, that is not me. This belongs here, that belongs there. These distinctions help navigate everyday life, but they also create a powerful illusion. The illusion is that the boundaries created by thought are absolute. As these mental divisions accumulate, reality begins appearing increasingly fragmented. Life becomes a collection of separate events. People become separate identities. Experiences become isolated moments. The underlying continuity fades from awareness. Imagine cutting a movie into thousands of individual frames and scattering them across a table. Each frame appears separate. Each appears independent. The larger story becomes difficult to see, yet the story never disappeared. Only the connection between the frames was forgotten. Something similar happens when the field is overlooked. Attention becomes absorbed in individual experiences while losing sight of the continuity connecting them. The result is a persistent feeling of division, a feeling that you are isolated from reality rather than participating in it. A feeling that meaning must be searched for because it appears scattered among separate pieces. A feeling that connection must be created because separation appears fundamental. The field reveals a different possibility. The separate forms remain visible. The differences remain visible. Yet beneath those differences exists a deeper continuity, a shared context, a shared presence, a shared field within which every perception, every thought, every experience, and every event appears. When the field is forgotten, reality appears fragmented. When the field is remembered, the fragments begin revealing their hidden relationship. Nothing external changes. The world remains the same. What changes is perception, and suddenly what once appeared as countless disconnected pieces begins revealing itself as expressions of a larger reality that was quietly present all along. The fragmentation was convincing, but the field was always there beneath it, holding every experience within the same vast continuity of existence. The silent presence beneath every thought, Emotion and perception. Every moment of your life contains movement. Thoughts appear and disappear. Emotions rise and fall. Sensations shift from one instant to the next. Images enter awareness. Sounds emerge and fade away. Everything seems to be in constant motion. The mind is usually so focused on these movements that it rarely notices something extraordinary hiding beneath them. There is a silent presence that remains while everything else changes. Consider your own experience. The thoughts you had 10 years ago are gone. The emotions you felt during childhood are gone. The opinions you once defended may have completely changed. Even the way you view yourself has transformed many times. Yet despite all these changes, there is a sense that something has remained continuous. Something has witnessed every chapter. Something has been present through every transition. This presence is easy to overlook because it does not behave like the things it observes. Thoughts move. It remains. Emotions fluctuate. It remains. Perceptions change. It remains. Imagine sitting beside a river. The water never stops flowing. Every second, new water passes by. The shapes on the surface constantly shift, yet the riverbed beneath remains. The flowing water attracts attention because it moves. The foundation beneath it is often ignored because it remains stable. Human experience contains a similar structure. The stream of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions captures attention because it is dynamic. The silent presence beneath them receives far less attention because it does not compete for notice. Quantum science revealed that visible events often emerge from deeper levels of reality that remain hidden from ordinary observation. What appears on the surface may depend upon structures that are rarely seen directly. The same mystery exists within awareness. Every experience depends upon a background presence capable of knowing that experience. Without that presence, no thought could be noticed, no emotion could be felt, no perception could be experienced. Yet the presence itself remains difficult to identify because it has no shape, no image, and no obvious boundary. You cannot observe it the way you observe an object. You cannot point to it the way you point to a thought. It is not another experience among experiences. It is the condition that makes experience possible. This is why people often spend years searching for themselves within the contents of awareness. They search within memories. They search within beliefs. They search within emotions, yet everything they search through continues changing. The silent presence remains untouched by those changes. A feeling of sadness may appear. The presence remains. A feeling of joy may appear. The presence remains. A moment of confusion may appear. The presence remains. A moment of clarity may appear. The presence remains, like the open sky allowing clouds to pass through it. This presence remains available regardless of what appears within it. The clouds change shape, the sky remains open, the experiences change form, the presence remains available. The remarkable discovery is that this silent presence is not something you must create. It is already here. It was present before the current thought arrived. It will remain after the current thought disappears. It was present before today's emotions emerged. It will remain after today's emotions fade. Throughout your entire life, it has quietly accompanied every experience without demanding recognition, and when attention begins noticing this deeper dimension, something shifts. The constant movement of experience no longer appears to be the whole story. A deeper continuity becomes visible, a silent presence, a stable background, a living field beneath every thought, emotion, and perception, not separate from experience, not outside experience, but quietly present within every moment, allowing all experience to unfold while remaining unchanged by the countless forms that pass through it. How the sense of being a separate observer was constructed. From the earliest years of life, a powerful story begins forming. A child learns a name. They learn which body belongs to them. They learn the difference between me and not me. Experience becomes organized around a central character. Memories gather around this character. Preferences gather around this character. Successes, failures, fears, and ambitions become attached to this character. The construction is useful. It helps navigate the world. It helps communication. It helps survival. Yet something fascinating happens along the way. The character becomes so familiar that people begin assuming it is the entirety of who they are. The role and the awareness behind the role become blended together. Imagine an actor performing on a stage for many years. The role becomes increasingly detailed. The costume becomes familiar. The script becomes familiar. The audience recognizes the character instantly. After enough time, it becomes possible to forget the distinction between the actor and the role being played. Human consciousness often follows a similar pattern. The mind creates a narrative. The narrative explains where you came from, what happened to you, what you believe, what you desire, what you fear. This narrative becomes the center of identity. The separate observer seems to emerge from this story, yet a closer examination reveals something unusual. The story itself is observed. The memories are observed. The beliefs are observed. The emotions connected to the story are observed. Even the sense of being a separate individual can be noticed. This raises an important question. If the identity can be observed, is it truly the observer? Quantum physics challenged many assumptions about the nature of separation. Boundaries that once appeared obvious became increasingly difficult to define at deeper levels of investigation. What seemed independent often revealed hidden relationships beneath the surface. The same mystery exists within identity. The sense of being a separate observer feels completely real because it is reinforced continuously. Language reinforces it. Memory reinforces it. Social interactions reinforce it. Everyday experience reinforces it. The mind repeatedly draws a boundary around a collection of experiences and calls that collection me. The repetition becomes convincing. The boundary begins appearing permanent. Yet the boundary is largely conceptual. Imagine drawing a circle on the surface of the ocean and declaring that the water inside the circle is separate from the water outside it. The line creates a distinction, but it does not create an actual separation. The water remains part of the same ocean. Something similar may be happening within consciousness. The mind creates distinctions. The distinctions are useful, yet they can create the impression that awareness itself is isolated from everything else. The separate observer feels real because attention becomes focused on the character rather than the field in which the character appears. The role becomes visible. The background becomes forgotten. The narrative becomes visible. The awareness receiving the narrative becomes forgotten. This creates a powerful illusion, the illusion that there is a small observer trapped inside a body looking out at a separate universe. The deeper reality may be very different. The observer is not discovered as an isolated entity. It is discovered as part of a larger field of awareness that was present before the story began. The character emerged within the field. The identity emerged within the field. The sense of separation emerged within the field. And once this becomes visible, something remarkable happens. The observer no longer appears as a disconnected point surrounded by reality. It begins appearing as an expression of the same field from which reality itself emerges. The separate observer was not a mistake. It was a construction, a useful perspective, a temporary lens through which experience organized itself. But beneath that construction, the field remained unchanged, quietly present, quietly whole, waiting to be recognized beyond the story that seemed to separate it from everything else. The moment existence stops feeling outside of you, reality appears to exist on the other side of a boundary. There is a sense of being here while everything else is out there. The world seems external. Events seem external. People seem external. Even the future appears as something approaching from outside your current experience. This perspective becomes so familiar that it rarely feels strange. It feels obvious. Yet there comes a moment when this way of seeing begins to shift, not because the world changes, because perception changes. The shift often begins quietly. A person notices that every experience of reality occurs within awareness. The sound of the wind appears within awareness. The sight of a mountain appears within awareness. The memory of yesterday appears within awareness. The anticipation of tomorrow appears within awareness. Everything known about reality arrives through experience. Everything known about existence arrives through awareness. This realization seems simple at first. Then it begins revealing deeper implications. Imagine watching waves moving across the surface of an ocean. If attention remains fixed on individual waves, each one appears separate. One wave seems distant from another. One movement appears disconnected from the next. Then attention shifts toward the ocean itself. Suddenly the perspective changes. The waves remain visible, yet they no longer appear isolated. They are expressions of the same underlying reality. Human experience can undergo a similar transformation. The mind usually focuses on individual events, a conversation, a problem, a goal, a memory. Each appears separate. Each appears disconnected. The field beneath them remains unnoticed. As awareness begins recognizing the field, the feeling of separation starts weakening. Reality no longer feels entirely external. Existence no longer feels like something happening outside of you. A deeper continuity becomes visible. Quantum physics revealed that the boundaries people once considered absolute often become less certain under closer examination. What appears disconnected can reveal hidden relationships. What appears separate can reveal deeper forms of unity. Consciousness presents a similar mystery. The observer and the observed seem divided, yet both appear within the same field of awareness. The experience and the experiencer seem divided, yet both appear within the same field of awareness. The world and the self seem divided, yet both are known within the same field of awareness. This recognition creates a profound shift. The feeling of standing apart from existence begins dissolving, not because individuality disappears, not because the world disappears, but because the invisible wall between them loses its certainty. Imagine discovering that a window you have been looking through your entire life was never there. The landscape remains. The sky remains. Hadhi si fragmented feed fell. The horizon remains. Yet the sense of separation changes completely. Something similar happens when awareness begins recognizing the field. Reality stops feeling like an object being viewed from a distance. It begins feeling like a living process in which you already participate. The search for connection starts losing its urgency. The search for belonging starts losing its urgency, because what was being sought begins revealing itself as something that was never absent. The field was already present. The connection was already present. The continuity was already present. Existence no longer appears as something outside of you waiting to be reached. It begins appearing as the very reality within which you have always existed. Not distant, not separate, not beyond reach, but intimately present, expressing itself through every experience, every perception, and every moment of awareness. The boundary fades, the field remains, and existence begins feeling less like something you are observing and more like something you have always been part of from the very beginning. The discovery that every part of reality emerges from the same field. As this journey approaches its final insight, a remarkable possibility begins to emerge. The things that appear most different may not be as separate as they seem. A mountain appears different from a cloud. A thought appears different from a sound. A person appears different from a star. An emotion appears different from a memory. The differences are obvious. They are visible. They are real within experience. Yet beneath these countless forms lies a deeper question. What is the source from which all these forms arise? Quantum physics revealed that the universe may be far less fragmented than ordinary perception suggests. Beneath the diversity of particles, forces, and structures exists a deeper level of reality often described through fields. What appears as separate objects can be understood as different expressions of underlying processes. This idea points towards something profound. The forms may differ. The source may be shared. Imagine an ocean stretching beyond the horizon. On its surface, thousands of waves appear. Each wave has a unique shape, a unique size, a unique movement. If attention remains fixed on the surface, every wave appears independent. Yet every wave emerges from the same ocean. No wave exists apart from it. No wave carries its own separate substance. The differences exist at the level of form. The unity exists at the level of origin. Human experience may reveal a similar mystery. Thoughts differ from emotions. Emotions differ from perceptions. Perceptions differ from physical objects. Yet all are known within the same field of awareness. Every experience emerges. Every experience remains briefly. Every experience fades. The field remains present throughout the entire process. This realization begins transforming the way reality is understood. Seeing existence as a collection of disconnected pieces, a deeper continuity becomes visible. The observer emerges from the field. The observed emerges from the field. The experience emerges from the field. The sense of separation emerges from the field. Even the search for understanding emerges from the field. Nothing stands outside it. Nothing exists apart from it. Imagine looking at a vast tapestry. Attention is drawn toward individual threads. Each thread appears separate. Each seems to have its own direction. Then attention widens. The entire design becomes visible. The threads have not disappeared. Yet their meaning changes completely. They are revealed as expressions of a larger pattern. Reality may function in a similar way. The countless forms that appear different may be expressions of a deeper unity hidden beneath appearances. This does not erase individuality. It places individuality within a larger context. The wave remains a wave. The ocean remains the ocean. Yet the wave is understood differently once its relationship to the ocean becomes clear. The deepest discovery is not that you must connect yourself to the field. The deepest discovery is that connection was never absent. The field was present before every thought, before every identity, before every experience. It remains present now, and it will remain present as every future experience unfolds. The observer, the world, and the field are not separate realities trying to reach one another. They are different expressions of the same unfolding process. And when this realization begins settling into awareness, a profound shift occurs. Reality no longer appears as a collection of isolated fragments competing for meaning. It begins appearing as a living continuity expressing itself through countless forms, different on the surface, connected at the source, many in appearance, one in origin. And perhaps that is the final quantum secret. You were never a separate observer moving through an external universe. You were always an expression of the same field, from which every part of reality emerges, not standing outside it, not trapped inside it, but arising with it, as it, within the same vast mystery that has been present from the very beginning. It may have seemed as though you were moving through reality, searching for meaning, connection, and understanding. Yet a different possibility has emerged throughout this journey. The field was never something surrounding you. It was never a distant force operating beyond your reach. Every perception, every experience, and every moment of awareness arose within the same vast continuity. The separation appeared real because it was convincing, not because it was true. The deeper realization is not that you must become one with the field. The deeper realization is that there was never a division to overcome. The observer, the experience, and the field have always belonged to the same unfolding reality. And when that truth begins to settle, existence is no longer something you are trying to reach. It becomes something you recognize as what you have always been.